welcome back to our YouTube channel, English for Long Life. It's great to see you once again this week with our new video. So, today in our lesson, we will be talking about jobs and occupations. Although it sounds easy and simple, learning to talk about your job and occupation according to a proper structure would exactly help you to talk or to describe yourself to any person. So now, let us see how Lucy expresses about her profession. I'm a bank manager. I work for a private bank in UK which provides the financial services to the public. I work with a staff of 30 members. I usually start work at 9 in the morning. I have to monitor the whole banking process, including the credit department, pawning, lending, financing, etc. I'm responsible for balancing the cash and managing the staff in order to assure that the bank functions smoothly when they deal with the customers. Most of my time I'm busy dealing with the customers either directly or through the phone. I normally leave the workplace when everything's completed. So that means I have no exact time of finishing work. It might be early or even late night. Although I find my job challenging as I have to deal with people and money, I'm almost satisfied in serving them so that they could find their work easy. Welcome to our classroom. By this time, you've got a brief idea of how Lucy talks about her profession. In our lesson today, we will be teaching you how to give a detailed description about the job you do. While talking about your job, it's better if we could follow up with a structure, just like this. Start introducing your job. You can even mention like what kind of a job you do. Next, you can start describing about the company. What kind of a company you work for. Then you can mention about the colleagues with whom you work. And finally, here you can talk about the start time and the end time of your work. Gradually, you can describe your job with more details. You can mention what kind of activities you do within your job. And finally, you can say how you feel about your job. So let's get started. Number 1. Introducing your job. When we start introducing our job to any person, the first thing that we should mention is regarding the position that we possess within the organization. Just like this, I'm a teacher, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer. Then you have to mention what kind of work or where or which kind of an organization you work for. So to mention that, you have to use phrases like this. I work in. Remember, when we say I work in, you have to mention the field of the work or the place of work or the department which you work in. So it sounds like this. I work in the field of teaching. I work in a school, or I work in the Department of Education. And the next one is you can use I work for. So remember, we use the word for in front of companies. So it's like this. I work for ABC company. So remember, you use in to mention about the field, place or the department of your work, and you use for if you are working in a company. Number 2, describing your company. In this part, you have to provide more details regarding your workplace. Especially mention about the nature of the business or what your workplace does or even what your company provides. Just like this, I work for a blank company. Or you can even say, I work for a blank network. Remember, you have to mention an adjective to describe your company or the network or the organization. It's like this. I work for a large company which Now remember, after which you have to mention regarding the nature of the business, like what your business does. So for example, I say I work for a network which provides education. So I work for a school network which provides education. What if you do a lot of jobs staying at home? Then you are a freelancer. So you have to say like this, I'm a freelancer. Freelancer is a person who does a lot of part-time jobs at home. So if you are a person like that, remember to use this phrase freelancer. But what if you are self-employed with your own work? Then you have to say, I'm self-employed. If you are not self-employed, if you don't work for a company, and even if you are not a freelancer, you might be a business owner. You have to mention it like this. I'm a business owner. Well, now it's your turn. Follow the structure, add up your details and start practicing. The next important point you have to talk is regarding the colleagues at your work. So there are two simple ways to talk about the colleagues at your workplace. It's like this. I work with a staff of 30 members. I work with a staff of 30 members. I'm surrounded with 20 people at my workplace. These are the two common ways. If you need to talk more about your colleagues, you can talk about the friendships you have with your friends and you can describe your friends in detail. But I think that's not necessary as you are talking about your job. But if you wish, you could do so. Number 4, the start time and the end time. The most specific thing in your job description would be the start time and the end time. Let us see how we should express it. Normally when we start work, the common and the most familiar phrase that any person should use is I usually start work. I usually start work. So here you can mention the exact time or you can say morning or night. What if you are a person who works during the night time? Then you have to mention like this. I usually start work at 9 in the night. Or you can say like this. I usually start work at 9 in the morning. Remember, if you use AM or PM, you don't have to say in the morning or in the night. But if you prefer not to use AM or PM, it's far more better to use in the morning and in the night. Well, guess if you were working on shift basis, the thing that you have to mention is very important. You can say, I usually work on a morning shift or I usually work on a night shift. So remember these two phrases. I usually start work. So when you start work on a day, you have to use start work. But if you're working on a shift basis, you have to use I usually work on a morning shift or I usually work on a night shift. Finally, to end up your work, this is the way you say, I normally finish work in the afternoon, or you can say the exact timing like this. I normally finish work at 8 p.m. Or if you do have an exact time and you work late night, you can mention it like this. I normally finish work late night. Now add up your details to this structure and start practicing. Number 5 is to describe your job with more information. So today I've got 3 important phrases that could easily help you out to describe the job which you do within your organization. Let us have a look at those 3 phrases. The first one is I have to. Now, when we refer to this phrase, I have to, remember, you have to talk about the job role. That means the things you've got to do towards your organization. Now, for example, as I'm a teacher, I have to teach lessons for students of higher grades, and that's my job role. So that way, you too might have a job role for your own towards the organization. So remember and start adding it to this structure. And the second phrase is I'm responsible for. Now, just like the job role towards the organization, you might have a special responsibility given to you that should be done towards your organization again. So let us see what it is like. I'm responsible for the performances of my students, or I'm responsible for the results of my students. So whatever the responsibility that you possess with your organization, get it to your mind and keep it ready. The final one is most of my time. So normally within an organization or the company or at any workplace, we all are engaged in several activities for most of the time. For example, in my case, I am like most of my time I engage in teaching, looking after students, guiding them to the right path. So you too might have a special time period where you engage in a particular activity for a long time of period. So gather them, your job role, your responsibility, and the most time which you engage, the activity like which you usually engage in almost every time. Gather them up, enter to the structure and start talking. Well, number 6 and the final topic to talk about your job. Say how you feel about your job. The important point when you work at any place is finally to mention how you feel regarding your organization or your company. So there are two phrases in common which we could express how we feel. It's like this: I'm almost blank with my work. I find my work blank. Now for these blanks you can add up positive phrases as well as negative phrases. I have two positive phrases just like satisfied and challenging. Now here the word challenging gives a positive meaning. So you can say, I'm almost satisfied with my work. I find my work challenging. So what if you are not happy with your work? You can use negative phrases like unsupporting and disappointed. I'm almost disappointed with my work. I find my work unsupportive. Now the word unsupporting means when you don't get a proper guidance from your company towards the employee. You feel that you're not supported enough. So there you can use the phrase unsupportive. So that way, if you are happy with the workplace you work in, you can use some positive phrases from this, and if you are not happy and if you're disappointed, you can grab up any phrase from this and add up to your structure. Amidst all these phrases, there are a lot of adjectives that are available to describe about the positive side and the negative side of your organization. You can also add up any of those to your structure and start practicing with Lucy. Well, now you are quite sure and confident to talk about your job description in detail to any person you meet. As you've practiced to talk about the self-introduction and the daily routines for the past few weeks, this week you've already learned to talk about your jobs and occupation. So keep practicing it for 7 days along with your voice recordings. Please don't forget to practice the first 2 lessons along with the 3rd lesson also. And remember, if you've missed any of our first or the 2nd lesson, we've dropped down the links on the description box for your easiness. Go there, click on them and learn the lesson to talk effectively. Well, our 4th and the final lesson of our first series is lesson number 4. And that is quite interesting and very useful for you in order to develop your ability of listening and speaking. Therefore, stay connected with us and we will be coming up with this interesting video within the upcoming week. If you've not yet subscribed our YouTube channel, please click on the subscribe button and don't forget to click on the bell icon so that you don't miss any of our latest videos. Goodbye. Thank you for watching our video. If you have any problems with related to English language, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section.